vial. It's kind of a plastic vial, and you snap the top off, and you just drink it, I guess.
So those ones are nasty. Not all of them, but when you describe it like that, the most famous one, I'm sure you've heard of this. Like, I don't know how many Chinese people would be able to tell you what it is in English, but it's liquid with really strong smell, and it's not a very pleasant smell.
It's kind of bitter.
It's bitter. It almost smells a little fishy, almost. But that thing, it cures heat strokes, it cures like cold, and if your stomach is upset, like all those things, you just drink it. You have that 5 seconds of torture, and your body would automatically just magically feel better afterwards.
I actually kind of like this flavor.
You do?
The way you sound sad. The first few times I tried it, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? But eventually I kind of was like, oh yeah, this is that stuff with that punch.
Yeah, I will drink it because a lot of times my stomach is not very, it's not safe. Sometimes I have stomach problems, and my mom tried to get me to drink it. I was like, Mom, I am having an upset stomach right now, which means I kind of want to puke.
Oh.
You want me to drink this? I am going to puke. But if you can really hold it down, then you'll be okay.
And there's so many different kinds that I could bring up, and hopefully I can explain them better than my first attempt. There are these really small flasks that come in a glass bottle. It's baijiu, but it's like traditional Chinese medicine infused baijiu. So it's like an orangish brown color. And I have a friend who's British, actually, and when he gets a cold, that's what he drinks. He just slams one of those bottles of baijiu and goes to bed. For our listeners, baijiu, by the way, is a very strong alcohol. It's like taking vodka, medicine-infused vodka, basically.
The way you said the word strong makes me think that there are stories behind that word.
I just mean it's like 40% alcohol by volume or something. It's really powerful stuff. It's not just like, oh, it's a little alcoholic.
It is.
It's hard alcohol.
It is hard alcohol, but the thing is, if you drink the good ones, you get that sense of drunkenness the night of, but the next morning, at least for me, I used to think I couldn't take baijiu for the exact same reason we're saying, because it is 40% or higher, 50. I've seen like 63 or something, the crazy number.
Oh, wow.
I was like, there's no way I could even drink that. But when I did last year, actually, kind of officially for the first time, where I legit had a baijiu dinner with people that we're working with, I felt dizzy that night, but I didn't feel like puking. I didn't feel like there was a headache. And the next morning, after a night of sleep, there's no hangover.
Yeah, I know. I had the same experience when I've drunk very high quality baijiu. I usually don't have a hangover.
Well, I think it's high quality baijiu. I drink the good ones. I don't know about those tiny glass bottles you can buy just from the convenience store. So we're not vouching for anything. We do not vouch for or against anything. Please listen to all of our advice and our stories with your own discretion.
There's a brand of baijiu that has a red star on it, and it comes in a green bottle. Those are in like all the convenience stores.
I'm not saying in the advertising voice for that, because that one is usually heard the name and it goes,
Morris is a big fan of that one, and he'll actually drink that sometimes.
You know what? I'm not surprised for some reason. I haven't met Morris in person, but I feel like if you tell me he's big on baijiu, I was like, yeah,
of course,
that makes sense.
I don't think alcohol is everyone's go-to for medicine. So that's not really what we're talking about when we talk about traditional Chinese medicine. I just wanted to kind of mention it.
When I was a kid, every time I had a fever, my parents wouldn't give me ibuprofen or whatever. They would just rub my palms and my feet with baijiu.
Really? Yes, that's very interesting.
It was part of my life for a very long time.
Did you get a feeling from this other than the tactile sensation?
It takes away the heat. Like, you don't feel like you're burning. Oh. My parents have never put, like, a cold towel on my forehead. They would just rub my palms and my feet. And if the fever runs really high, then they would actually rub my arms and my legs, like my whole body with it.
Oh, yeah. The best military commander is not he who fights 100 battles and wins every one of them. The best military strategy does not lead to the dedication of the enemy's capital city. Decoding the art of war will help you understand why there's no art in war, and how since this state undebatable using the science of war, with fun stories and insightful breakdown of famous battles. Tune in to Decoding the Art of War on Spotify.
You're listening to The Bridge.
There is a kind of cough syrup that Chinese people use that is different. I have a picture of it in front of me. On the bottle it says Nin Jiong Pei Pa Kao. That's what the king, I don't know what it's the one that I think everyone uses here in China. It's like you pour it in your throat and the basic coughing stops. What's really interesting is
And it's sweet and it tastes so good.
It tastes good. Yeah. What's really interesting is in America we have Robitussin and what's the other one? NyQuil.
No, oh my God.
Some of these have this really powerful drug called dextromethorphan, which is, a very actual powerful narcotic. And it actually tricks your brain into not noticing that your throat is tickling. What's really interesting is this Chinese medicine doesn't take a few minutes to work. It works instantaneously. And it works really well, and it lasts a long time.
Yeah, so Pi Pa Gao, that's kind of like, I should get my boyfriend to use it.
It's amazing.
little bit of convincing, not too much, because the texture is a little off-putting.
It's very viscous.
It's very
Yeah.
sticky. It's not liquid. Robitussin is basically like just liquid. You just pour it in your.
Yeah.
Even NyQuil. NyQuil is a little thick, but it's not sticky. This thing is sticky. Pipagal or Tuligal is like the same thing that's made from pears. Tuligal, Pipagal, and then there are other kinds of cough syrups. The taste, I think because we're more used to this kind of taste, we think it tastes good, but for a lot of people, it has that weird fruity taste. It's something that they think should be like medicine or a drug, so people get like kind of weirded out by that fact. But I love this thing. There was a time I was just drinking it because I liked it. But the difference is you don't get intoxicated from it, where kids in America do get really intoxicated or they would put themselves under significant influence from drinking an excessive amount of NyQuil.
Yeah, I think some of those, I'm not sure which ones, so I don't want to libel anyone, but some of those American or Western kind of cough suppressants can, if you drink them in excess, can be very dangerous and very strong narcotics.
Yeah.
Most of the Chinese traditional medicines, or the medicines that are used, I don't even know if that's traditional. They don't have that kind of effect. You don't get like a drug effect from them at all whatsoever. They just work really well in helping you with your symptoms when you're sick.
Yeah.
And actually, I always had these really long colds my whole entire life. Like I would get, if I got a cold, I was like, oh, there goes 3 weeks. But like I went to my wife's hometown with her one time, and I was staying in a hotel, and I was really sick, and I was like, oh, I guess trip's ruined. I'm just going to stay here. Her mom came by and dropped off a bunch of medicine. And then, I don't know, 1 or 2 days later, I was fine. And, it's not like, I know how long I'm going to be sick typically. You have a feel for it. And I was just like, why am I okay now? I always use Chinese medicines when I get cold now, and I feel like all my colds have just generally gotten a lot shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try not to take medicine for when I'm just having a cold, because I know it's your body reacting to the environment, whatever there is. Like something was compromised and your body's trying to fight it. Also, from that process, it built up its immunity system as well. So I was like, I don't want to put chemicals in it just so that I can feel better. Because I have done that once in 2014 when I was graduating from grad school, and I was under a lot of stress, and I was really, really sick. I was having a long-lasting fever for like 3-4 days, and I had to finish my graduation project. And everybody around me back then in the States were like, they talk about taking ibuprofen, like drinking water. Like if you're thirsty, just take some water. So if you're not feeling well, just take some ibuprofen, take some Advil. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna be like the cool kids. I'm gonna test this one through. And so I brought a whole bottle of Advil to school with me for a couple of days when I was editing every day. If I feel like, I'm dizzy, or I feel like my head is really heavy, I just take two Advil. And that cold lasted about 2 weeks, and then after those 2 weeks, I started having a really bad sinus problem, and I had developed allergies for the first time in my life, and so today I'm still suffering from it.
People develop allergies at different times in their life, so...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 2,500 years ago, an old man rode on his buffalo and headed west of China. Before he vanished into the wild, he left behind a book of 5,000 words, which for the next 2.5 millennia would have shaped the Chinese way of thinking. Subscribe to the sayings of Lao Tzu and find out why generals with wisdom yield after winning the ultimate battle, and how staying behind just might help you get ahead of others. The sayings of Lao Tzu is available on all major podcast platforms.
You're listening to The Bridge.
We were talking previously about Chinese traditional medicine and acupuncture, so I wanted to talk about that again in this episode briefly. This is something that is done around the world. Increasingly, you can use Western insurance to pay for acupuncture because it is to work for a lot of various kinds of things, for back pain, and cupping is now something that you can get done in a lot of places around the world. I had cupping done recently. So cupping, for people who don't know what it is, there are a couple different ways. One is actually, there's a plastic syringe version, and there's no fire of any kind. They put a plastic, like a, I don't know what you would call it, it looks like a cup onto your back usually, and then they can just pull the air out with like a plastic syringe-like device. So the air gets removed, and then your skin is raised up, and it causes your skin to, I don't know what's the word, get like hickey. That's the only term I can think of.
It leaves a purple reddish mark on your skin. How about that?
And it leaves like, it's like a week before it like goes back to normal color skin.
It is so common now, because I was watching all of these basketball games, not by my farewell, but...
They can also do it with fire, where they light the inside.
That's the tradition. That's the real way. That's the traditional way.
They have a piece of glass, and they light the inside on fire, and then as it's burning out, they put it on your skin really fast, and it creates a vacuum, and then it raises your skin.
Yeah, that's what a lot of, you see a lot of NBA players nowadays, they go to acupuncture, and you see their cupping marks on their body.
Wow.
Like when they're playing, you see that. Yeah, it's super popular and kind of it's recognized in the sports world in the U.S. and probably I would say in a lot of other countries as well, because cupping and acupuncture, I guess it's not as demanding physically for a lot of the athletes. You know, when you have to stretch or you have to go to kind of like not physical therapy, but that kind of training where you have to, if one of your muscles got way too tense, and then the process of them massaging it out is so incredibly painful. I guess cupping, a lot of people are like, oh my god, that looks so bloody. You actually see like, you know, marks on your body. But I'm quoting Jason, I'm quoting everybody else who has done it. It doesn't hurt, but I haven't done it myself.
You didn't do it. You haven't done it.
You know, I've never done cupping. Because,
I'm very surprised.
that's why I was like, when you said that there's another way of using real fire, because I saw my family, my auntie was doing that for my cousin. My cousin was like 23 and he was doing a lot of heavy labor work, so his back was really hurting. And my auntie kind of forced him. And she was like, you're gonna just lie down there, I'm gonna put this cup on your back. And then I think she used an alcohol-infused cotton bowl, and she lit that up, put it into the big glass jar. The way she did it was so hardcore. It was, for lack of a better word, very gangster. I loved it. I was like, that's so cool. And she held it, she kind of just waved the cotton ball that was on fire to make sure, maybe 2 or 3 seconds. And she took the cotton ball out, and then she just put the cup on his back, and I heard the noise, I heard the sound. It was, I was younger, I don't know, 12 or 13. I was like, I don't like this. Like, looks too scary. But that's what's been keeping me from trying it.
The first time I saw it on someone, I was like, what happened to you? They'll do like 20 places, like all over their shoulders and back, and
Someone beat you up.
all these round circles, red, purplish round circles all over someone. And, you know, it's actually, it feels nice. And when they did it to me, there was like, they did it in like 20 different places. It was all over my back and shoulders.
How many problems did you have with your
It
body?
was one problem. But they were like, oh, we're just gonna, you know, you're obviously been drinking cold ice water, Jason, and your neck and your cheese all messed up. We gotta fix this.
That is the source of all of your pain, Jason.
So they really did it, and like it felt great. Actually, I imagine that's what it feels like to be suspended in air or something. It was so bizarre because all my skin was stretched in different positions, but it was like all over my entire back. It felt like my skin was floating during the process, and then after I came out, there was no pain at all. It didn't hurt. There was no like.
Yeah, that's the thing that people say. It looks like it's bruises, but it doesn't hurt.
It was kind of like a massage for like underneath your skin. It was really nice, actually.
Yeah,
It felt lovely.
right?
Yeah.
But have you done gua sha? Have you done scraping?
No, I haven't done that.
Okay.
But I've seen it done. Wow. So tell us about what is
So gua sha is a way of releasing tension most of the time on your back. And some people use jade, and a lot of people use like horns or whatever, or bone material to scrape your skin. Of course, there's going to be some kind of like lubricant or oil. It's not just scraping your skin with the little panel that's trying to kill you. But through that process, it kind of runs through all of your pressure points and whatever knots that you have along the spine and along like major tendons or whatever. I guess the reason why you have those like under the skin blood spots coming up after you do scraping or gua sha is because it breaks some of the small tiny blood vessels and it forces them to reorganize themselves. That's my wild guess of why it works, but I've done it once without the panel, without the jade tool or the bone tool. It was just that person's hand. So it's not necessarily the tool that they use. It's a way of massaging your body, and it produces that not really blood, but you have those little red dots or like a whole area of red dots, and those red dots all together, that redness on like under your skin, that's called sha. So that's why it's called gua sha. It's like we scrape and you get the sha to come out of your skin, come out of your body.
So, sorry, what is the sha?
Sha is the redness. So like if you go get gua sha, they will be like, oh, this person, like we scraped a lot of sha out of this person. So like that means you're so red, you're purple, and that also means that you had a lot of problems. They were able to kind of scrape them out.
You say on the back, and I've seen it on the back and their neck and stuff. But I've also seen it on the throat in a just very small place.
Yeah.
Like the size of your thumb.
Oh.
Just right on the throat. I've seen it just like a little on some of my kids.
Yeah.
You know, I teach kids sometimes, and their throat, they'll come in with like a scraped up throat, and I'm like, oh, what happened? And they're like, oh, this is like
Grandma.
this is done by a doctor.
I had a cough and grandma did that.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what yeah, that's a lot of people still do that. When you're having a cough or having a fever, people tend to just do that. I think the one on the throat was definitely done just by hand, and you just kind of do like kind of really tough massage around that area, and it's supposed to get rid of the symptom. I mean, it works sometimes, but it's again, it looks a little painful to me. So I'll be okay. I'll drink more water. I'll drink warm water instead of cold water.
Bile